This is me. And these are the videos I watch, the movies I watched, just two. And the first one was Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. Don't ask me why we watched it. And we also have Harakiri, which was amazing. Completely on the opposite spectrum. I rarely rate any movie, as you can see, but Harakiri, I gave it 5 stars, and I even liked it. I gave it a little heart. And funny thing, when I watched Harakiri, I was like, this movie has such a strong, yeah, there you go. For those who want to read it at the same time, has such a strong social commentary. And yeah, don't call it a movie, please. I imagine you're referring to Doctor Strange, not Harakiri. But yeah, no, Harakiri has such a strong social commentary in it, and it's such an incisive movie and narrative for that social commentary. Um, and I felt like it was very leftist, but I wasn't too sure if it actually was motivated by leftism. And turns out, you look into Masaki Kobayashi, turns out he was a socialist. So it's like, oh, all right, there you go. That's why his social commentary was actually so on point and so good. And I encountered that. I didn't know anything about that movie, but I looked into the. All right, it's gonna be shameful, but I selected it through those TikTok filters that just selects one of Letterboxd's like 100 top 100 films, and they just put the thing on top of your head. And I was like, all right, I'll watch whatever it gives me, and it gave me Harakiri. And turns out that it worked out. It worked out. Who would have thought that TikTok would be good in that in that sense? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'll sorry. Nobody says socialist. Nice. Yeah, it's not only a critique, I believe, because I'll read critiques of capitalism in every movie that I watch, um, if they're actually movies and not Doctor Strange. But Harakiri is a critique of, at least of, from what I think, a critique of property or private property, and through that, critique more strongly of tradition and honor in terms of socially and in terms of personally, and the conflicts that both have. Um, I'll make a summary really quickly because I really think it's an important work of art. It's 2 hours. I know most of you are not going to watch, and I'm not going to spoil, but I'll try to like convey a sense of urgency. I want you to watch this after the stream, though. After the stream, it's on Criterion if you have Criterion, and it's a samurai who, well, it's the whole idea of Ronins who are samurais without masters anymore, and Ronins. Like their ultimate honor apparently is to commit harakiri or seppuku, which is basically just disemboweling yourself, and apparently that has a very spiritual, strong spiritual, and its significance, and it's actually a good thing, um, which is ridiculous. And I think the movie realizes and comments that it's a ridiculous thing. And in this context, a lot of Ronins who don't have masters are starving. They don't have someone to pay them, right? And they don't have from what I can understand, they don't have the power or money to buy their own, to buy their own land or whatever. They can't be employed for some reason. I don't know this history enough, but all they tell is that a Ronin can't be employed because other people want to be employed, and if you're skilled into like swordsmanship or whatever, you can't get the jobs of normal people. And so what Ronins have started doing is Ronins, they if they want to commit harakiri, they have to do it in a temple, in a way, in a like a in inside of a master's palace, in a way. That in that case, it's not going to be their own masters. So what they do is they knock at people's at their temple. I don't want to say temple, but I guess that's what it looks like. Um, they knock at their temples, other people's temples doors, and what they say is, "All right, can you please let us in so we can commit harakiri. And a lot of people don't want to do that because it's kind of they don't want people to literally kill themselves in their temples. So they say, like, they give them money or they give them food and they tell them to go away. So now you have this precedent that's been created. Or another thing is, a Ronin will go and will say, I'm willing to commit harakiri, and the master will say, oh, because you're so full of honor and you're willing to actually commit harakiri, we will give you a job as a samurai in our estate or in our clan. So more and more Ronins started doing that without the actual intention of committing harakiri. So they knock at people's doors. They're starving. They're in terrible conditions. They knock at people's doors. They're like, we want to commit harakiri, because we have nothing to live for. But they're doing it not to actually commit harakiri, but to get either money or food, or to actually get an employment from the master. And now you can see how the whole social commentary about private property that I find can be seen. So basically, but the masters see this as a really as like it's dishonorful. It lacks honor in the sense that you don't actually want to do harakiri, so you're trying to boast as if you're so great, but you're not, and therefore you should actually commit harakiri even though you don't want to. And they force Ronins to commit harakiri, even though they don't actually want to. And this whole idea of tradition and of honor, and the interesting thing is that the masters see the Ronins as people who are, bad people who are trying to just take advantage of the master, because they're faking as if they're playing the rules of tradition, but they're faking, so they're dishonest, and therefore they're the bad guys. Meanwhile, the masters are withholding their riches and their wealth at the expense of someone starving. And since you take part, you're on the side of the Ronin, you see that the masters are the bad guys, and that someone who is not honoring their harakiri because they're starving, or because for whatever reason, are actually the good guys, even though they're lying, even though they're going against tradition. And it's making you, it's confronting you with that class consciousness. And I think because of that, it's an interesting, like, it's a fascinating movie that you should go watch. And to add to that, and I don't want to spoil, so I'll just give you the themes. But there's a revenge plot, but not a corny revenge plot. It's actually a really good revenge plot. And added to that, there is this whole idea of confronting people with their ideas of tradition and their ideas of honor, and showing how it's just a facade. I think that's literally the words they use, that these traditions and this honor is just a facade. And I love that, because how many people in chat know how much a lot of customs, a lot of honor, a lot of especially in more conservative leaning either communities or even families, it's just a facade, right? The whole idea of no sex before marriage is a facade. Everybody knows that, right? All of these things, all facades. People expect others to go to do the traditional, to adhere to the traditional values, but they don't do it themselves, and they would never. Anyway, all this long tangent to say, watch that movie. It's worth it. It's 2 hours, but it doesn't feel like it. It has honor is a social construct, says nobody. Everything's a social construct, though. But honor is one of them, a very strong one, and a very socially constructed one. And it's incredible, the whole idea of confronting someone who's about to kill you for honor, but making them realize that themselves, they don't even uphold that honor. And like for 1962, 1960s, it's a Japanese movie. I feel like that must have hit hard for a lot of people in Japan in the 1960s. It hit hard for me. Anyway, watch it. Watch it.